Hello and welcome to the Charlotte Content Marketing Podcast. My name is Andrew Rusnak. I am the founder of Charlotte Content Marketing. We're doing something a little bit different today. If you are listening on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, we are actually on YouTube this time. So if you want to head over to YouTube, search for Charlotte Content Marketing. We are the one and only. And you can watch this podcast. We'll throw some graphics up and stuff to make it a little bit extra special. But we're going to have a video version of it here. You can still catch the audio version of the podcast on YouTube Music, as well as Apple, Spotify, and all that good stuff. But if you prefer to watch the video version, you can do that. And if you are watching the video version here on YouTube, make sure to head over to Apple, Spotify, etc., and subscribe to the Charlotte Content Marketing Podcast and keep up to date with us on there as well. So I have been under the weather the past couple weeks, actually. I don't know what I got hit with. It was a sinus thing and it was not fun. And I'm still in recovery to a degree, but I have not been able to record one of these. And there's been a lot of stuff over the past couple weeks that I wanted to cover. And I would keep finding stuff and I'd be like, oh, that'd be a great idea for a podcast episode. But then the illness would strike back and I would be unable to make that happen. But so this is going to be sort of a news and views roundup, if you will. We're going to be covering a couple topics that I think over the past couple weeks stood out to me. The first one being DeepSeek. Now, if you don't know what DeepSeek is, I'm sure you know what ChatGPT is by now. If you don't know what that is, basically when people talk about AI, that's what they're talking about. It's a large language model, and it's like predictive text on steroids, and it's what everybody is referring to as AI. And so ChatGPT is from a company called OpenAI, and you can access ChatGPT. I think chatgpt.com actually will take you there. And it's free for a limited amount of use, and then there are restrictions on it after that. There are premium tiers that you can subscribe to and pay money to have access to all the features and yada, yada, yada. Well, so they've been kind of the leader in the AI space, the LLM, large language model space, for, I don't know, going on a year and a half, 2 years now. What's it been? I can't even keep track. But this company comes out of China with a large language model called DeepSeek, and they release it to the public, and it's open source. That means that basically the code is available for anybody to use. You can take it and manipulate it how you want it. Well, that was a big deal because OpenAI, despite its purported nonprofit roots, is kind of heading for this profit-seeking position. And they've had deals with Microsoft. It looks like that kind of stuff is falling apart as well. I think Microsoft is now partnering with Anthropic. And so there's a lot of juggling behind the scenes and stuff. And, you know, billions of dollars just trading hands like it's nothing. Who cares? Whatever. But so this DeepSeek comes out and it's open source. And that throws everybody into a tizzy. What that means is that, and it's supposedly just as good, if not better, than ChatGPT. And the story, the background on this is that the company who created it trained it for, a couple $1 million or something like that, whereas OpenAI has been spending like billions and billions, tens of billions of dollars, whatever, to train ChatGPT. Well, that's a problem for OpenAI because they've got all these investors and companies, again, like Microsoft, who are throwing billions and billions of dollars into this. And if they can't justify that cost and some random startup out of China comes along and they're claiming, oh yeah, for a couple $1,000,000 we were able to do the same thing, and we're releasing it for free to the world. Well, then what does anybody need OpenAI or ChatGPT for? And all these plans, 5-year, 10-year plans to integrate all this stuff into, whatever. And all that just gets blown out, right? Well, so when this news broke in the tech world, this was a huge thing and it was all anybody was talking about. And I mean, it actually affected the stock market. Like stocks, tech stocks, started plummeting the next day before anybody even took a second to say, hey, wait a second, let's think about this. Hey, wait a second, let's look into this. All right. I mean, China is known for lying. China is known for IP theft. And so before we start taking China's word for it, let's look into this, but everybody just jumps the gun. And that's one of the biggest issues in tech today and it's always been like this. It's always been like this. I'm not trying to say this is something new, but that's been one of the biggest issues in tech is some shiny new object comes along and everybody just jumps the gun. That was like when ChatGPT came out. Oh my God, this is going to revolutionize everything and it's going to put everybody out of work and we're doomed, but at the same time, everybody's going to make billions of dollars and it's going to change the way. And maybe it will. I don't know. But, that was 3 years ago. And I'm still sitting here arguing with or correcting ChatGPT on a regular basis. So we're not in this dystopian, Elysium, whatever future here just yet. So I'm going to continue to hold the line on let's wait and see. Everybody chill out. But anyway, so, DeepSeek comes along, does this, tanks tech stocks for a couple days. And, this has real world implications. This has real world ramifications when people don't verify this stuff. And then it looks like it turns out that China was lying, that this company did not, in fact, train this stuff, for a couple $1,000,000 as was originally claimed. And now researchers are finding out that, because when you're using a product like that, and I'm not going to get into the whole geopolitical thing, but just like with TikTok, there is a concern where this stuff is originating in another country, in this case, China. Same thing with TikTok. And what data is being sent back. And, who is receiving that data? How is that data used? And in the case of China, it is still a communist country. They still require, it's a known thing. If you're going to do business in China, they're going to want your IP data. You're basically going to have to give over your intellectual property. They steal IP all the time. It's a fact. It's a known thing, and it's been going on for decades. That's why so much knockoff counterfeit stuff comes out of China. It's just a fact. And so now it's turning out that there may be some data that's being sent back to China. And once again, because it's a communist country, the government is the industry, right? So what are the geopolitical ramifications of that? But my whole point with this was just that, we've got to take a step back when it comes to this AI stuff. It's don't jump the gun on this and just take a chill pill. Okay. Everybody get your collective heads together and calm down. Let's look at this stuff for what it is and what it can do. Don't bank your entire business on, oh my God, the AI future, and so this is going to do this and this and this, and yeah, maybe, 10 years down the road, 50 years down the road, 100 years down the road. But look, let's focus on today and tomorrow and let's worry about that. So what are we dealing with now? And then we can worry about the other stuff. We can plan for the other stuff as we move along, and we can change the plan. It's just like anything in marketing. We create plans, but those plans, we build flexibility into those because you can't just remain rigid, if data is going to change that. I mean, circumstances are going to change that. So anyway, I just wanted to cover the DeepSeek thing because that came along when I first started getting sick. And so I did not have a chance to cover that. And so moving on, so the next thing here that I had on my list of stuff was so a while back we did a podcast episode entitled The Follower Trap, and that was where we talked about how social media followers and really how important are they, and are you utilizing followers in the right way, and are you just chasing followers, or are you actually trying to engage with customers or leads, and so how are you using social media, and whether or not you're just trying to get that number up for your own personal validation. So I came across an ad on Facebook. This was actually just the other day, and I took some screenshots. I'm not going to mention the company. I thought about mentioning the company, and I was like, no, you know what, I'm not going to do that. But I mean, this is not like some well-known household name company. I'll put it like that. And so this isn't Walmart or Nike or something, okay? But it's a tech company, and they produce software as a service, SaaS. And the ad, and I got to take a look at it here just so that I'm giving the correct information here. Okay, so the ad. So this ad on Facebook, sponsored post, it has 184,000 likes, 7,000 comments, 1,100 shares, and 5.5 million views. This is not a household name. This is not a Walmart or a Nike. It's just some SaaS company. And the ad itself is not anything. I mean, the creative was not anything stand out, right? So I see that, and my alarm bells immediately start ringing. I said, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense. How did it get that much engagement? I mean, how long has this ad been running, and what's the audience for this, and everything? So, if you're a business owner and you see something like that, and you're putting out your content on social media, and you see, an ad from some random company, and it's got millions of views and, thousands of shares and hundreds of thousands of likes and comments and all this stuff. And you're thinking, oh man, like I put out an ad, or I put out a piece of content on our company page, and, it gets like 2 people like it. Or we put out we boost a post or something on Facebook or Instagram, and, it gets 10 likes. So what are we doing wrong? Well, you're not doing anything necessarily wrong. Are there ways that we can improve that? Sure. I'm sure that there are. But if you're comparing yourself to something like this, then I would never suggest doing that. Because there could be any number of unique reasons why your ad or your post is performing the way it is. I mean, what's your audience? I can't tell you anything if I don't know about your audience. Where did your audience come from? What is your audience? What is your audience comprised of? Who are these people? How often do they use social media? How likely are they to engage? What is the content like? Is the content engaging? Does it speak to anything that matters to? But anyway, so without going down that whole rabbit hole, my whole point is, so I started looking into this ad because I was curious. And if you look at these comments, once again, this has 7,000 comments on it, and I look at the comments, every single one is from somebody with a name that I'm not even going to bother to try to pronounce because I'll screw it up royally. But these all appear to be Southeast Asian and or Indian names. And all of the comments, and I'm just going to read the comments here. Okay, I'm reading these verbatim in order, just from screenshots that I took. Okay, here we go. Beautiful, 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 amazing, amazing, very good, beautiful, very nice, beautiful, amazing. You see where we're going with this. And then we've got comments, good luck, good luck, good luck, good luck, good luck, good luck for the future. That was a curveball right there. Good luck, good, good. Okay, so you're getting the point here. What I'm trying to get across with this example is that my suspicion is that, I could be wrong, but I highly doubt it. My suspicion is that these are bought and paid for comments. These are bought and paid for likes. This is bought and paid for engagement. And it's done to try to make the ad and therefore the company look like it's more popular, to add legitimacy to it, because most people don't read the comments. Most people aren't going to look into that. They're going to see it has 1 million comments or 1 million views or 1 million whatever, and they're just going to say, wow, okay, well, this must be a credible thing. They're not going to read through all this stuff. And so that's why these companies will purchase engagement. And these are just bot farms, and usually they're in India, Southeast Asia, countries like that. And they have fake accounts, and, you know, they will just automatically comment something simple, good luck, good, great, wonderful, beautiful. It's the same thing on YouTube. And I'm not going to get into the dead internet theory. We talked about that a while back, a couple months back. But, you know, you're interacting with bots a lot more than you realize each and every day, particularly when it comes to social media and any kind of social engagement, YouTube, comment sections on news articles, just anywhere that you think that there are people, you're going to run into a lot more bots than you realize. And so I bring this up because I don't want for business owners to look at and compare what they're doing to other stuff that they see on the web, other social media profiles, and trying to say, well, you know, they have 1 million this and that, you know, like, how come I don't? What are they doing that I'm not? Maybe they are doing something different or better. I don't know. That's a case by case basis. But with that said, in this example, it's very clear to me that this is bot engagement. The company paid for a bot farm to engage with the ad, to boost up their engagement numbers, to make it look more credible and legit. There's something to be said for social proof. There is something to be said for showing credibility as built by other people, customers, right? We want to get customer testimonials. We want real reviews. We want the social engagement to show that we have a legit business, service, product, whatever. But it's got to be real. It's got to be genuine, right? I mean, because you can pay for this stuff. If you just want to boost your ego, you can pay to have any number of things liked and shared and followed. You can buy fake followers on Instagram right now. You can, you know, get a bot farm to like everything you post right now, if you want, or leave comments. I'll tell you this. So I used to play a game called Division. The Division was the Division 2. It was a Tom Clancy game. And there was a guy who, it was like an action shooter kind of thing. It's still around if you want to check it out. But there was a guy who used to post YouTube videos, and it's like his whole personality was like tied up in this game. Like, I like the game, but man, this guy's just like lived it. And so he would do these videos about the game and about his progress in the game and stuff like that. And it was the same type thing. Like, every time he would post a video, there would be this smattering of comments from random other channels on YouTube. And it would always be things like, you know, comments like, you know, this movie was, you know, extraordinary, stellar gaming skills, much appreciated, or some kind of nonsensical. You could tell that it wasn't like an English, you know, native English speaker or something. It was odd. And, I very quickly surmised that these were just bot comments because it was every single time on every single video this guy posted. And so he paid for the engagement. And so I bring all this up, or I say all this, I point all this out just so that you don't get into the trap, into the mindset of, well, I see this going on with a competitor, or I see this going on with a similar company in my industry, and I have to be competing on that level, because you don't know the story behind what they're doing. You don't know what the facts are behind what's going on with their marketing and how all of this is coming together. So don't fall into the follower trap, and don't fall into the fake bot engagement trap as well. Next thing I want to cover is there was an article in Futurist, and it was asking, is AI making us dumber? And there was some study that was conducted that talked about how AI was making people lose critical thinking skills. And I'll say this. So I think the internet as a whole is making people lose critical thinking skills. And I think that's been going on for quite some time. And I mean, I know just me personally, I can tell you right now, I mean, how often do you search for something and Google comes back with the result, and it's the featured snippet, the top result is like a bold blue highlighted answer. That's the featured snippet. How often do you search for something? I know this is the case for me. Search for something, that snippet comes up, and you take that word, you take that featured snippet as gospel without checking, without verifying the source of where that came from. And you just say, okay, well, yeah, there's the answer. Now, sometimes that's okay if it's not like an important question, what time is the Super Bowl on tonight or whatever. Okay. But that's the kind of thing where it's not just AI that's making people lose critical thinking skills. It's the very fact that we're presented with information at our fingertips 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we don't ever verify it. And I'm not saying that somehow people are wrong for that. I mean, it's just human nature. You search for an answer, here's the answer. Okay, well, do I trust Google enough to give me the answer? Well, if you do, then you got your answer. But, it's not just AI. The AI thing is definitely adding to the problem, if you will. And I think that will get worse. We've talked before about model collapse, in which we run out of new information to train these large language models on. And so then they have to start training on their own data, which was original training data however long ago. And it becomes corrupted over time, and mistakes start leaking their way into the new training data. And before you know it, the whole thing just falls apart. It just breaks down. It collapses because it's bots talking to bots at that point. And so I don't know that AI is necessarily is affecting people's critical thinking skills any more than just the average internet usage period. But then again, we could really say the same thing about, look, I don't want to be old man yelling at cloud, right? I don't want to be techno-futurist, cyberpunk, transhumanist lover either. But, so I would assume, like when the printing press came along, oh, well, you didn't go down and talk to, Mr. Jones at the corner, who's the scientist, and ask him about this science question. No, you just went to the book to get answers, right? Or when the radio came around. Oh, well, you didn't verify with, the town council about this, thing, this local thing that happened. You just heard about it on the radio and you're just going to take their word for it. You're losing critical thinking skills. I mean, obviously, when TV came around, and movies and things like that, I'm sure people said the same things back then about people are losing their critical thinking skills and they're just taking this media, as gospel. So I'm not so much concerned about that. I mean, it is a concern and it is something to be aware of. But I don't think that this is a new phenomenon. And in my eyes, again, the internet as a whole has affected critical thinking skills for, decades now. And so that's just something to be aware of when it comes to content marketing. What we're finding now is that the shift that's taking place in terms of what's going to be the important content going forward. So we're getting away from the top of funnel content, which is your how do you do XYZ content, or, all about XYZ kind of content, your basic generic overview kind of content, stuff that can already be answered by AI, stuff that's already answered by Google featured snippets and stuff like that. And we're looking to get more into personal accounts of things, telling stories from the position of someone who is authoritative on a topic, looking into developing more case study type content that deals with real world examples. And these are basically things that AI cannot replicate. I mean, it can fake it, sure, but it cannot replicate this actual information, and it's information that is not out there on the wider web as a whole. And so therefore the thinking is that it's more likely to be surfaced because when you do something like, if you're a landscaping company and you put out a blog post about, how to care for your grass in the summer. Okay, yeah, that's useful information. And it would be great for you to send that out in an email newsletter or post it on your social media to your followers and stuff. They would probably find some value in that. However, if you're talking about it just in pure SEO terms, you're competing against every single landscaping company on the planet who's also writing that same kind of content. I mean, Google can't put everybody at number one, right? And so you might, writing content like that, you might be on page 500 at that point. And then beyond that, again, with AI stuff now, not just because people are searching for content using AI, they're asking those questions of AI. But then we get into how is AI picking up data about your company? And this is where we need to get out to more places. This is where relationships are going to become more important in 2025 and going forward. And when I talk about relationships, I'm talking about digital PR, basically. And at Charlotte Content Marketing, we take a search everywhere optimization approach. That's our SEO, search everywhere optimization, not just search engine optimization. What we want to do is we want to get mentions in relevant places all around the web for our clients, and get those tied back in with those entities. We've talked about entities before, but in a nutshell, that's where we're tying your brand, your company to things like your location or your industry or notable things about your company, so that it trains the AI, and the AI then knows who you are, what you do, where you can be found, why you're important, why you're special. And so that when potential customers are searching, you and your details are more likely to come up, as long as we have trained the AI. We're training the search engines now, and we're telling them about your brand, your business, and all the things surrounding it, all the entities that connect together to make up the spider web of information. And then we want to get that out to as many places across the web. We want to get as many mentions across the web. So anyway, I have gone on for quite some time, a little bit more than I wanted to. But I do want to thank you so much for joining me, whether you are listening here on Apple, Spotify, or elsewhere, or whether you have joined here on YouTube. I do want to thank you for tuning in. And I do hope that you take a moment to subscribe or follow us. And you can also find us on socials, Facebook, X, LinkedIn, Instagram, all that good stuff. You can also visit us online at charlottecontentmarketing.com. Email us at hello@charlottecontentmarketing.com. Or you can even give a call And that number is 704-323-6762. We'll be more than happy to chat with you if you have any questions about content marketing in the Charlotte area or the surrounding Southeast region or around the world. Let's see what we can do to get your content on point, on track for 2025 and beyond. So once again, my name is Andrew Rusnak for Charlotte Content Marketing. This has been the Charlotte Content Marketing Podcast. I want to thank you for tuning in, and I will catch you next time.